Chapter 16. One Way to Alaska. We arrived in a town just outside of North Seattle, the first stop on our journey to Alaska to get some lunch. I was so excited to hit the road to attend a basic electrical class. Up until this point, I had a license with a couple of road trips under my belt, full and ready to start the long drive to Anchorage. 1 mile out of the United States border and Canadian border, we pulled over, and they said that I was the one who had to drive across the border because I had not have any tickets, warrants, or police record. What? As I was sitting behind the wheel, they were telling me what lane to go in when we got to the border patrol. The closer we got to, the more nervous I got, and they kept giving me instructions on what to say to border patrol. I was thoroughly flustered and drove in the lane that was repeat customers to Canada. Wrong lane. We were instructed to pull over to be questioned. An hour went by and I had to call my dad to make sure I was not a runaway. I was 20 years old and couldn't be considered a runaway. They checked to see how much money we had to get through Canada. I had the $600 and flashed it. Yes, away into Canada we went, with visions of Canadian Rockies and Canadian foods to try. We hit Vancouver City at night and was all lit up with fast food chains from America, and all the measurements were in liter and metric. The speed signs were all in kilometers, and the gas was not helping us any with the liter system. We figured time and distance did not matter whether it was in kilometers or miles. We had a long way to go to get to Anchorage. It was March when we headed through Canada, and there were 2 routes to take through Canada to get to Alaska. The shortest route through Canada was only used during the summer months because of the deep snow on the roads. We had to take the long route. I love to travel, so it was not a big deal to take a little longer. I was not due in Seward from my electrical class for a couple of weeks. The first night in Canada, we seen this road that led you up to a secluded parking lot just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia. We had planned to stay in the car for most nights of our travel through Canada. We were trying to get through in record time. We decided that it was a good idea to stop at the rest stop. As we drove up to the rest area, it felt eerie, like we were about to enter into a scary movie. We are fearless natives of Alaska on a journey to our homelands. We pulled into the large parking lot that had no streetlights and one semi-truck parked but had his still running lights and running lights on. We found a parking spot on the other side of the lot from the semi and went to the bathroom in the woods to settle down for a good night's sleep. We had a long way to go. When we were all in our sleeping spots, we gave the okay to turn the lights off for some good sleep. As soon as the lights made the flicking sound to go off, we all let out a gasp. The darkness had consumed us, and the only light was the running lights of the semi. We were way up in the woods with a semi and darkness. No outline of trees, no stars, no one else around but that semi, and pure darkness. We headed back to a lit-up area and slept by the road. Creepy. Whew, that was a scene from a scary movie. Canada is a huge country of open country. Winter wonderland still, it was miles and miles in between towns with grocery stores. We survived off of gas station snacks most of the trip. A couple of days go by and out of nowhere there is a city. We needed rest and a shower. I talked them into stopping for the rest of the day. Yes, I was going to finally see a big Canadian city at its finest. To my disappointment, everyone was too tired to go anywhere. I was not going to town. Bummer, I missed that tick off the list. We woke up rested and ready to begin the second half of our journey to Alaska. Canada was still in winter season, and it was breathtaking. Cool, crisp air with snow everywhere was exhilarating. We woke up in Canada. We were driving and driving. Before we went crazy, I bought a hot breakfast and paid with an American $100 bill. The owners were so excited to see American money. I did not pay much attention to the exchange rate along the trip because I used small bills. When I got to the change back from the breakfast, it was $120 in Canadian money. Wow! I bought breakfast and got all this change in Canadian money. Woohoo! I spent that money like it was going out of style. On the last night of driving in Canada to get to Alaska, we come around this corner of the road in between the mountains. There was this straightaway for miles. As soon as we came around the corner on the right, another vehicle going the other direction came round the corner of the opposite end on the left. We could barely see the road because of the blowing snow, and it was all flat country. The road was only visible because of the car tracks built up from driving over it. The other vehicle looked so far away with only one light, like a flashlight, way far away. We slowed down because you could see the road, then you could not see it 15 feet away. Then the blowing snow would clear for a minute. Slow and steady wins the race on ice. The night driving in between the snowy mountains was calming, and you could see the stars blink back at you every now and then. We seemed to be driving forever on the snowy straightaway. The other vehicle coming from the other direction made us feel secure and safe to drive at night because we were not the only ones out on this night. We were into a daze of driving in between these mountains that I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. The other vehicle coming at us had only one light when we first seen it, and we thought it was a motorcycle or the vehicle had a light out. I was staring off into space at the road when this vehicle, all of a sudden, the one light split into two lights. What? I've been on the road too long. I asked if anyone else seen this. We were all excited of what just happened. All we could do is continue to drive this long straightaway. Eerie. We drive for about another half hour before the light got close enough for us to see what it was. It was just another car. When we entered the mountain pass, they did at the same time, and they were so far away their lights were seen as one light. We hit the Alaskan border in the late afternoon. By now, spring had sprung on the way to there. The car had been lived in and rode hard for days. With the last couple of days being muddy, the car was a mess. We were a mess, and ready to get driving to Anchorage out of Canada. The Canadian Border Patrol was flagged out. The Canadian Border Patrol had flagged our car when we entered Canada to be searched when we got to the Alaskan border. The Canadian Border Patrol were real interested in what we picked up while we were in their country. Nothing. We had only eaten food and bought gas to get through the country. They were convinced that we were up to no good. We were asked some questions, then looked at the car. We were about to get a car search. Bummer. We got out of the car and said, go for it. When we agreed for them to search the car with no hesitations and the state of the car, they decided we can just go. Awesome. Away we went into Alaska. Yes, we made it through Canada. I had a couple of days left before I needed to head to Seward for my basic electricity class. I called up some high school friends, and we partied until 2 hours before I had to get on the bus to Alaska Vocational Technical Center. When I got dropped off, my dad was so relieved to see me there on time, still rum-dum and ready to rock and roll. Good times.